I gotta get rehyped. Hold on. Okay. Hello, fellow nerds, and welcome to Our Nerdiest Thing. Today, we're continuing our discussion of Leather and Lark by Bran Weaver, Book 2 of the Ruinous Love Trilogy. Today, we're talking about chapters 16 through 19. Before we get into it, Deb, I'm going to throw it to you.
Why are you always so excited to hand it over to me?
I'm just feeling energetic.
So excited to be my friend.
I went into like radio morning DJ. Deb.
And next, we're going to talk about tonight's drink.
Tell us about our nerdiest cocktail.
Tonight's drink is named Dickmatized.
Yeah.
And it's themed after impromptu sexy times. This drink pairs well with remote control vibrators. Yes. Serenading your husband and giving your wife an orgasm in front of a crowd. It may cause your husband to cut your panties off.
That was a hot move.
That was
a BDE move, if
Yes,
I ever
it
did
was.
see one.
I'm not sure Lachlan does anything that's SDE.
Well, no.
Absolutely
Except for
not.
putting her in the trunk of the car.
Yeah.
That was a small dick move.
Yeah, that's true. I just
Yeah.
pretend like that didn't happen, though. That's fine.
It's only half of the story. But
Yeah,
whatever.
it's fine. So now it's time for a nerdy and dirty recap. 30 seconds to tell us what happened in this section of the book. The wheel has spoken.
Take it away, Whitney.
Oh no, I did remember to bring my notebook this time. So that's a step in the right direction. So I am setting the clock for 30 seconds and I'm going to tell you at least some of the things that happened in this section and we'll see how it goes. And go. So we start off in the leather shop and some weirdo creeper shows up and he definitely has all kinds of red flags. And Lachlan's like, he seems weird, but it's cool. I'll just keep talking to him, and introduces him to Lark. And it's just a bunch of weird stuff and I don't like it at all. And so then they go to the bar for Lark to do her performance, and she does, and she sings to Lachlan and she's like, I forgive you, and then she does a vibrator and gives him the remote control and he gives her an orgasm, and then they do some stuff in the bathroom. The end. That was 30 seconds. That was so good. But it was some things that happened. So there
I mean, I feel like you hit the high points.
Oh, man. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I don't really prepare.
Well, here's the thing. The 30-second thing isn't supposed to be full prep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're just supposed to
It's hard to gauge.
shove
like,
it into the hilt.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
Uh-huh.
It's hard to gauge how much you can actually say in 30 seconds. You know what I mean?
Right,
Like,
100%.
it's really hard, you guys. But that's okay. So I tried and it was all fine. So Mindy, you talk now. Can you tell us about our nerdiest vocabulary?
I sure will. I love how we get a lot of Irish slang in these books. And so one of the funniest moments is when Lachlan's trying so hard not to crack up over the band name, which is like the initials of their names, but he says Kex is Irish slang for underwear. And
I love
it was
that.
such like a middle school boy moment, like, oh, he said underwear.
Yeah.
And so I wanted to find, I know the Irish are like famous for their fun slang, right?
yeah.
Some of these sound dirty but aren't, and some of them are just funny sounding. So first, I do want to point out that in my research, I found out that the Irish people never say top of the morning,
Oh.
which is like a huge stereotype.
I was going to say that's. I wonder where that came from then.
I don't know, but they
If
don't
someone
say
said
it.
that to me, I would punch him in the face.
All right. So moving on.
I might be getting tired.
These are actual things that the Irish people call things. So the first
These are
one,
actual things that the Irish people
call
think.
things.
I'm excited to hear these.
Yeah, I might have had a little bit too much to drink too. So the Jacks, that means the bathroom. And then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, it's sort of like we call our toilets the John.
The John.
Yeah. So that sort of tracks, but the Jacks just sounds weird.
It does.
And then the next one I found was cream crackered.
Oh, no.
Also sounds very dirty.
It does.
But it just means exhausted.
Oh.
Like the word knackered too. They
Cream crackered sounds much dirtier
Than exhausted.
Than
All
knackered.
Sounds like you did it with the unexperienced white boy.
I thought he had BDE, but I got cream crackered.
Yeah, most of these sound dirty, but they aren't. The next one's just gross. It's called acting the maggot.
Ew.
It just means that you're acting silly or foolish.
Because you know maggots.
Yeah. They're so known for their silliness.
Oh, man.
Then this one comes from their, apparently this comes from their farm roots, agricultural roots. But they'll say, now we're sucking diesel.
Oh, gosh.
I think that comes from our roots where people die.
But it means they're making progress.
Oh, okay.
So, I don't know. I think it comes from farm machinery, right?
Using diesel to work. Gotcha.
So this one, I laughed really hard because this is just what I'm going to use from now on. It's shite talk, which is like calling someone a little shit, except for it sounds better.
Oh, you could call little kids that. I know.
I was just thinking, I wonder if I could call my kids that without Robbie being like, what does that mean? I'd be like, don't worry about it.
Nothing, you little shite hawk.
Yeah, it's Irish. It's fine.
They never use bad words.
Right. Yeah.
That is a cultural appropriation, and I'm just joking for the record.
The next one it means to scold aggressively, and it's eat the head off.
Oh. Some might describe my skills.
Yes.
We can cut that out.
No way.
Nope.
All right, let's get through some of these.
Talk about unique talents.
When they want somebody to hang on or wait, they say stall the ball.
Oh.
So, I mean, I can see that, like, if I want somebody to not come right away, I'd be like, stall the ball, dude.
Not come right away?
Like C-U-M or
like,
C-U-M-E?
wait it out.
You mean like sexually?
Yes.
Okay.
Like,
okay.
Dude, stall the ball, dude. I'm not done yet.
Just needed some clarity there.
I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're in bed with a dude and you're going, stall the ball.
Yeah, that's going to make him not.
Right. Yeah.
No.
Stop it.
This one I've heard before. When something's like awesome, I guess is sort of the phrase we would use here. They say it's bang on.
Ooh, bang on.
Bang on. And this one's gross. When it's heavily raining, they say it's pissing down.
Oh, yeah, I've heard that one.
Oh, thank you. So there's the word gee bag is an annoying person, and I'm 100% using that. Such a gee bag. And then equivalent to like what we would say if we were going to call somebody a brown noser, they call people a lick arse.
Oh, that's more straight to the point.
Yeah. And I love it. Then also when it's raining or very wet outside, they'll say it's wetter than an otter's pocket.
Oh.
I'm like, which pocket are we talking about?
There's multiple pockets there.
I'm picturing a cute little otter in his back with his hand in his pocket.
I'm picturing a female otter masturbating.
Ew. What's wrong with you?
She's wet in her pocket.
Duh.
I mean, come on. Look, you all have never been groped by an Irishman, okay?
Have you been groped by an
absolutely have.
No, I haven't been groped by an Irishman.
Is Darren an Irishman? Or is this a deep, dark secret?
So
maybe I was slobbing the knob and taking the piss and like...
No, so when I was in college, I was a theater major, and we would typically help out with like loading and unloading on big shows. And so we had this group called the Chieftains, and they were like old men from Ireland. They were lovely singers, but
were they sexy?
No,
Age gap romance?
Absolutely, were not. They were like old, kind of large men.
Grossos.
So, anyways, so we were all hanging out in the green room after, because as theater students, we got to like hang out with the performers,
the talent,
and all the girls got groped.
Ew.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Ew. Not an age.
And at the time, like, what's weird is at the time we were like, ha ha ha, that's so funny. What gross old men. And then we're like, that really kind of was gross. Like, so that was really bad.
That is not.
That was back when we used to be like silly men, and now we're like, don't fucking touch me.
Yeah.
So kind of gross. But anyway, that took a turn.
Let's go back. Sexually assaulted. Carry on.
Let's go back to the funny stuff. So they call a whiny and grumpy person a narky hole.
Oh,
again, totally using that one. And this one I will not be using because it sounds disgusting. But when they're talking about kissing someone, they say lob the gob.
Lob the gob.
Which sounds like you're hawking a loogie, which just does not turn me on at all.
Yeah, that feels like a description of like 13-year-olds who don't know how to kiss, but they are trying really hard, and it's just like open mouth, tongues everywhere, like grossness. So
just a few more. These are actually like phrases that I think we should all work into our vocabulary. So when you're talking about somebody and you want to say like they're talking shit about somebody, you say he has a mouth on him that make an arse jealous. Oh. So there's that one. Then I love this one. We call him the cloud because my thing messed up. Back up.
This is going to be one of those episodes where I'm like, please help.
Sorry. This one is just when you don't like somebody. So we call him the cloud because when he leaves, it's a lovely day.
Aww.
It's like the nice way to say fuck off.
Yeah, everybody hates you.
When you are red-faced and angry, you have a face on that looks like a slapped arse.
Oh.
Okay, see, these were funny when I was doing them, and now they seem like, after my like sexual assault story, they seem like awful.
Sexual assault's not funny.
It's not. It's not. Like, I feel like I brought down the rim.
It put a dark tinge on all of them.
Okay, now this one is really funny. This is when somebody sucks all the fun out of the room, you call them a crack vacuum. Because remember, like a couple weeks ago, crack meant like a fun party or a good time.
The valley of my bottom.
Yeah.
CRAIC, right?
Yes, CRAIC, but it's pronounced crack.
Oh, not the valley.
Yeah, no. He's a crack vacuum.
Listen to Tuesday's episode if you need to know what that's from.
Oh, you can see where my mind is. Not with Irish
where
slang.
your arse is.
Yeah.
And the last two are about people who are like a cheap bastard or really stingy with their money. So one is he wouldn't give you the steam off his piss.
Oh.
Rude.
I think it's hilarious.
It is hilarious,
but this one's by far my favorite. He is tighter than a camel's hole in a sandstorm.
Oh, gosh.
They're really good with the analogies in
I
Ireland.
mean,
very visual speaking.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. So
man, that was a lot.
So no wonder they all think we're stupid.
when in Ireland, some fun phrases that you can use.
Keep some of those in your back pocket. I've learned a lot from you tonight, Mindy. Thank you so much. I
aim to please.
Oh, well, let's get into some of the details of the things that I tried to explain that were happening in this section of the book. Let's go into our favorite moments from these chapters. Deb, what was your... Oh, no. Whitney, what was your favorite moment? Well, let me tell you, Whit. It was when Lark... This is exactly how I wrote this down. When Lark finally opens herself up to Lachlan, emotionally, but also physically. Hello. That's what I wrote in my notes. But I really love that she puts herself out there, being vulnerable, singing the song that she's written, like singing to him. And then she really goes balls to the wall. Like when she decides she's in with Lachlan, she's like, hey, I got my vibrator in. Here's the remote control. Like, give me an orgasm, please.
Yes. Do you think she went and boxed that up, or did she have it ready for him?
Went and boxed that up.
After he gave her the gift, do you think she was like, well, I need to give him a gift?
I think she already had it ready.
I think she already had that.
Yeah,
plan.
I think she already
because
had
of the whole song thing. Like she knew that was going to be.
Yeah. She'd been writing that and like preparing that too. Yeah. And then she says later in the scene that there were 500 people on that or in the crowd where she was on stage just having an orgasm out in front of everybody, playing her cello.
She had a cello in front of her.
Yeah, a cello.
A cello doesn't hide my face.
No. Yeah.
Do you think you could have an orgasm in front of 500 people?
There's
and no
way.
notice?
There's no way.
I mean, maybe if they thought you were into the music.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would think that.
But I don't think I could. She talks about having a mind-blowing orgasm and doesn't miss a note. I find that hard to believe.
I find that hard to believe.
Because I'd be like,
well, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to make you like jerk a little bit. Like,
right. Well, it reminds me.
I can't sit still when I'm having an orgasm.
It reminds me of that scene in Friends when Phoebe's dating the teacher and the firefighter, and they don't know about each other, and they both show up to her performance, and she's got that inner monologue, and then it shows her singing, and she's just going, That's what I imagine. Yeah. But yeah, that was quite a step forward for their relationship, physically and also emotionally. And yeah, she just really went for it. But I did really enjoy that a lot. It reminded me of the scene in Butcher and Blackbird when Sloane goes to Boston and then goes to surprise Rowan the first time at his restaurant and then goes with him to the gala, like putting yourself out there, being vulnerable. Like, I was proud of her. I was proud of Lark for that. That was my favorite moment. What about you guys?
I really found it hard to narrow down because there were just so many like really good, fun moments with
It was a good
Lark.
section.
It was. I really did love when Lark secretly put a gold star on Lachlan and then he's like super giddy about it and text her.
Yeah.
I thought that was a super sweet moment.
I like that.
But I think my favorite moment, and I almost put this as my favorite spicy scene because it has a real toucher and die vibe that turns me on. But it's when they're trying to do some recon in that office at the club and somebody comes in and they're in the closet and Lachlan's whispering things to her while they're hiding in that storage cabinet, and it's like very protective and very, like I said, touch. Like, I won't let him. I won't let him hurt you. I'll fucking kill him before or whatever. You know that. Yeah, panty dropper moment.
Yeah, it was. That was for me too. I'll kill him before he could lay a finger on you. I'm like, tell me more. What was your favorite moment, Deb?
Mine was Lachlan getting caught listening to anal smut in an audiobook. But
that was in my running too.
Yeah, but on top of that, Lark locks him out of the car and turns it up super loud. And it's like, do you want me to put that dick in your ass?
And she's just watching him crumble like, oh my God. And he can't do anything about it.
He's trying to turn it off.
I think I told this story on like season 1 of the podcast, but I was listening to an Emily McIntyre book and my husband and kids got in the car and my audiobook came on and it was like, and then I painted the inside of her pussy with my cum. And I was like, oh my God. And my husband was like, what are you listening to? Nothing.
Don't worry about it.
Darren
always, I was like, painted the walls of her pussy? Like, why'd you have to say that?
Darren always, like, when we get in the car, mine comes up as well because we always take my car everywhere, but I'm the one that like listens to the books in the car in the morning. And I'm always trying to like turn it off before it pops up and it
doesn't work.
It never works. And so it's always sometime like the last one was when Rowan was saying, God damn, or something like that. And so Darren's like cracking up and I'm like, stop. Because I'm sure he was going to say something really
make fun of it or take advantage of it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Right. Yeah. You have two choices, sir. Yeah. When I read at nighttime, like in bed, Robbie sometimes will like lean over and start to read out loud from the page. And I'm like,
don't.
No. We're not doing this. You stop that right now.
Brian used to do that because he thought it was funny. But then I was like, that's actually a really rude move to read over someone's shoulder. And you're taking me out of my moment when I'm reading. It's like me walking in and quoting the movie you're watching.
Yes. Yeah. He has started to more often be like, what you reading? Because he just needs to gauge, like, is this a book that I'm going to enjoy
Am I going to benefit from this later?
Or is this a book that's going to make you cry?
Go to sleep and see if I wake you up later.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's talk about our least favorite moments. What'd you guys say for least favorite?
Mine was Lark thinking that Lachlan left her at the club.
Yeah.
And she's like destroyed.
Yeah, she's devastated immediately.
Right. Yeah, she can't even stay on the stage. She goes back to the bathroom to cry, and she describes the feeling as her bones splintering apart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, babe, no, he didn't leave you. He got super horny and had to leave the room.
And read your phone.
I know, right?
Watch. You have an Apple Watch on.
Yes. Robbie's like that. I'll text him and it'll show up on his watch, and then he like won't see it or respond to it. And I'm like, what's the
whole
point?
Reason I wear my watch. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm like, what is the point of this if you're not going to read your text? Like, come on. Anyway. I didn't like that either.
Yeah, it made me sad because she thought that she like took it too far, and they had like a moment already, and like she thought that she ruined it.
Like, oh, I misread this
because this girl is falling hard right now,
hard and fast. Yes. Mindy, what was your least favorite moment?
Well, I had two. One was in the elevator, and this is actually the only time that I'm like, fucking Lark, like, come on. Like, usually I love her, but in the elevator when she starts thinking about all the things that she's actually like thinking about confessing her feelings to Lachlan and talking about all the stuff she's actually forgiven him and all this stuff, but then she doesn't do it.
She doesn't say anything.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, fucking Lark, Come
Yeah,
on.
like I think about
It's like the no communication.
That
trope.
Yes.
pissed me off. I was
Like, I
give
think-
him something, anything.
I think about our make out on the balcony all the time.
Yeah, he should have
like
just said that.
nothing.
Yeah.
You make me feel secure in who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what I didn't love about the sexy times was when okay, I loved that he cut her panties off, like you said, but then he takes
Loved it.
her own wet panties to choke her, and I just don't know if I want to feel my own
Essence.
spend or whatever.
Did
you just call it a spend? That's what they say in this book. No, thank you. So that being said, I do personally, we all know this, I've had a new kink unlocked reading my favorite smutty books.
Whitney's turning bright red right now.
I do like a little bit of light choking, just not with wet panties. But
Dry panties?
maybe.
They have to be made from like hemp.
But it got me thinking, like, why do we like this? Like, what is it about that makes it pleasurable for people? And what are sort of the parameters of how we should be doing this, right?
That's true.
So,
Safeguards.
yes. This is just a quick little tutorial, question mark, if you would like to explore this kink. So it is
Ooh.
called, in the BDSM world, either erotic asphyxiation or breath play is what they'll call it.
I didn't realize that's what breath play was. I literally thought breath play was like. Now I know why that's on all the trigger warnings. I was like, why is breathing on some of the trigger
I'm putting that together right now too, actually. That's funny. I prefer the term breath play, I think, to
Yeah,
erotic asphyxiation.
Yeah, because that sounds like you're
Or
going to
even
die.
choking.
Yeah.
Because, like, choking definitely has a negative
Right.
connotation
Yeah.
That
It's
to
just-
it.
feels
He's not-
aggressive and violating.
yes.
He's not
Yeah.
being negative to her, and it's a space of trust.
Right.
So-
Yes.
So, kind of what you would think when you restrict airflow during sex, the act actually floods your body with dopamine and serotonin, which we know that's like the pleasure, the happiness.
I'm going to start choking myself every day then.
I'm
Right.
depressed. Sorry.
So that all releases in your body, and then it makes you associate pain with pleasure in that moment. So here are the tips for what kinds of things you should do to prepare for this, and like how it should all unfold, because it's not just like, hey, choke me, right? Like there are you have to be careful because you could kill somebody.
Yeah, that's true.
So always
Is that why we haven't seen Darren in a while?
well, he won't let me choke him.
Take it from me.
So number one, always have consent. I just feel like
yeah.
that should go unsaid, but it
Anything
needs
with
to be said.
BDSM, people.
Absolutely have to.
It's all like that's why I like reading about BDSM, because those are the most like truthful and honest relationships
Yeah.
in books,
Yes.
because they have a whole
Communicative.
Yeah, they have a whole thing with trust and like really taking care of each other, and
Yeah.
I think
Right.
that's why I like it.
And when you're doing breath play, you're always going to have a safe word anyways when you're doing any kind of BDSM or Dom or anything like that. But you also, when you're doing choking, need to have a safe hand signal, because you're not going to always be able to verbalize,
yeah.
right? So some people use a fist. I would probably use the middle finger, but that's just me.
You just slap him across the face.
And this is something that, I mean, it makes sense now that I've read it, but like I wouldn't have like gone there immediately. You want to aim for the sides of the neck, not the front and anywhere near the windpipe,
Yeah.
because when you apply pressure there, obviously that's when you get into dangerous territory.
Yeah.
When you're applying pressure, you want to start off gently and gradually move up, asking permission until your partner says stop.
Yeah.
So you don't want to go all in and then back off, right?
Can I just say right here also, red light, yellow light, green light is not the sexiest safe words in the world like they do in this scene.
Yeah,
I
no.
want it to
Red,
be like
yellow, green.
Yeah.
Farfanugan or something. Like,
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like chainsaw, which is what Sloane's is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
This reminds me of that New Girl episode when when Jess is trying to sleep with Genslinger.
Yeah.
And she chokes him, and then later she goes to hug him, and he's like, like he's got PTSD or whatever.
So this is why you need to have communication.
Exactly.
Yes,
Yes. Safe
exactly.
words are important. Consent is important.
Yes. And education is important. So the writer of this article actually hired a dom to experiment with choking. So that was how she educated herself.
Sounds horrible.
But you can also go online. This writer recommends fetlife.com, which is essentially the Facebook of BDSM. So fetish life, fet life.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
And you can join a discussion group. You can ask questions freely. It's a very safe space. So she definitely recommends educating yourself before you try any of this.
So it's like a Reddit, basically. Like a very niche Reddit forum kind of thing. Gotcha.
And then finally, as important with anything, there's aftercare involved with this. So like just like with any sexual act, there's the aftercare. And it is more about, though, cleaning up your headspace rather than your body. So you can gently support the physical come down after sex by verbally checking in about the experience, just kind of talking about it. And if physical touch is important to you or your partner, a soft embrace or cuddling is recommended. Just to sort of, it's almost like a closure, I guess.
I mean, one thing I've learned from talking to authors that write about this is the physical touch afterwards is necessary.
It's a big deal.
Because people can, your body can like go into like a little bit of a shock if you don't, if you're like just kind of left like empty everywhere, like physically and mentally. So like you've got to have some sort of aftercare plan.
And honestly, like I know some people aren't like huge into physical touch. Like that's not my love language at all. But I still feel like I want to at least, like, even if it's just touching my husband's fingertips, we always maintain that sort of contact.
I always put my leg over my husband's leg.
Yeah.
I've done that before too. Yeah. So it is very important, even if you're not somebody who really enjoys.
You don't have to
touch.
big spoon, little spoon.
Right.
But you
don't have to go all out. But just, maybe it's just
hands.
holding pinkies. I don't know. Whatever, like the most amount of touch that you can handle.
It's like E.T.
So yeah, that's the rules of choking, I guess.
I'm learning so much from you today.
Listeners, a couple weeks ago we talked about how to do anal.
So come to us with all your questions, apparently.
We'll look it up for you.
Or go to FetLife.
Yeah, maybe that's the better
We'll
idea.
go into private mode on our browsers for you.
Right.
Yeah.
You said your least favorite moment already, or Deb, right? Yes, because it was Lark.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my least favorite moment went in a very different direction. It was also my biggest revelation, and it's when Abe shows up in the story. Because I had completely forgotten about that entire
that he actually comes
part. I had just
He comes to the concert, fucking creep.
I had
know.
forgotten about the whole like, oh yeah, there's some person in the background like wreaking havoc that we know about from the beginning of the book, but it's like 62% of the way through the book when he shows back up, right?
Yeah.
Which I guess that's a spoiler alert. I feel pretty confident, even though I don't fully remember, pretty confident this guy is the Phantom, but he gives off so many creep vibes.
Oh yeah.
In the leather store and then at the show.
When you talk like this,
I mean,
gonna be a
and
killer.
he's like overly aggressive with his like religious,
Religion.
like with his religious, not even beliefs, but just the way that he talks about it and throws the Bible verse out there and is very, very obviously judgmental toward them. Like it was just so many red flags, so many creep vibes. And then Lachlan,
she's wearing a leather harness on stage, bro.
right? Well, and like Lachlan is like, yeah, this guy's a weirdo, and then he just kind of ignores his gut feeling, which really bothers me. He tells himself he's being like overly paranoid,
especially being in the line of work he's in.
Exactly.
He should know better.
Exactly. And I kind of get the thought process of like, well, because of the work I do, I'm being overly paranoid, I guess. But at the same time, no, because of the line of work you do, you can't be overly paranoid.
Right.
Like that. No. I did not like the reminder that there's
Somebody
more,
creeping on 'em.
yes, like more conflict, somebody after them. I'd been enjoying just reading like the romance and not remembering that there's this whole other part of the story, right? I'd just forgotten about it. So there you go. That was my biggest revelation.
Honestly, I could take the Phantom part of the story out
Yeah.
for me personally.
I would still love this book, right?
Yeah, same.
But, what were your all's biggest revelations?
What was yours, Deb?
Mine was about Lark, and we find out why she can't handle enclosed spaces.
Yeah,
So-
I had completely forgotten
Yeah,
about this.
I did too. So for our listeners, if you haven't read this in a while, it was because there was a home invasion where her mother had her and her sister, right?
Yes.
Hide in a cabinet while some dudes like kill her father.
Yeah.
And then her mom like has a limp the rest of her life, and they can't come out until like 7 a.m. They were in there all night. And I mean, it's horrific.
Yeah.
The PTSD this poor girl has gone through.
Yeah, I had not remembered that at all. I kept waiting for a reveal. I thought the enclosed space thing had something to do with the teacher that was abusing her at school.
Too.
I did not remember that it was her dad at all.
I'd forgotten about that too.
Yeah, that was a tough moment.
Yeah. A lot of things came together with that story, actually.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of, you really understand Lark more in that moment. Mine was a little more fun, I guess.
The PTSD.
Let me bring it up back up.
We'll be the judge of that.
I thought it was great. And I mean, I knew it happened, but just love that revelation that Lachlan likes to listen to Lark's songs. And that he was like worried. He was like, I'm going to put it on, but I know she's on her way, so I better turn it off.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't want her to catch me listening to her.
But
yeah.
he secretly loves to listen to her songs.
I thought that was really sweet too. I loved that. Well, we're going to bring it up a little bit because we're talking about the spicy scenes. What made you guys feel the tingles when you read it?
All I wrote was the edging, the concert, the remote.
This place has everything. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much. Yeah.
I said 100% it's the public vibrator session. Lachlan, when he discovers what it's all about, his teasing her, the things he thinks about doing to her and with her while it's going on. I just had to cross my legs while reading it to suppress my lady parts.
In some books, they would say that you were rubbing your legs together.
Yeah.
Squeezing my thighs
that doesn't
together.
do it for me.
Sometimes I read stuff in books where I'm like, do I do that?
Do you
I
ever
do the same
like
thing,
stop
yeah.
and like try to make yourself do it?
Yes,
and be like,
I have to think through it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh no, okay, that's a real thing. I guess it's not
I
dumb.
do squeeze my legs together.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that leads me to not my favorite spicy scene, but my deep dive, because Lark having Lachlan have control of her sexual experience, right? It's not full on having sex in public, but it's a sexual experience in public. And for me personally, that is crazy. So I wanted to do a little deep dive into just like the psychology of that kink, basically, of it's not really voyeurism, but just that public sexual.
It's exhibitionism.
Yes.
Thank you. Exhibitionism. I couldn't think of the right word. So I can't relate to that, but that's why I wanted to do a deep dive. So
I tried to take the producer of our podcast to the bathroom in a barbecue restaurant when Mindy was there.
that was hilarious.
I was wasted.
Definitely was.
Probably the most wasted I've ever been in public.
Retro. So
Oh, don't worry. He got his later.
I bet he did. Yeah.
Although I tried to get him to go to the bathroom at the next place, too.
You were not giving up. So in this deep dive, we're not going to yuck anyone's yum, although I am being very open that this isn't my cup of tea. However, I will say perhaps be thinking about public indecency laws that can get you arrested or in trouble while you think about things like this. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that later, but also be thinking about the hygiene of where you might be, both for you and your partner, but also for anybody else in that public space. So like, restaurants, etc.
What about the ocean?
Do you think those sharks want your spooge?
That's at your own discretion. That's not as unhygienic
too
as
late.
like in a,
Mindy, I don't want salt water up in there.
then it's fine, I guess. It's too late to change it, so we're just going to say it's okay.
What beach was this? Because I don't know if I want to swim there.
Pretty sure it was in Tampa.
No, I don't go there.
Yeah, we're safe. Right? All right.
Although we go to Destin all the time, and I bet that beach gets spooged on.
I was going to say,
100%.
I think most beaches are probably all about the same. So, first of all, there are varying degrees of what in public means to different people, right? So, for some people, a bathroom in a public place is public, even if there aren't other people there. But for other people, you wouldn't consider it a public place unless you were like in the booth at the restaurant.
And actual people
in front of
can
other
see
people.
you. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So there's different degrees of that, but in general, public sex is about the thrill of it all. So it's not so much about intimacy with your partner or romance or thinking about sex as necessarily a connection with them in that romantic kind of stereotypical way, but it's about adding pleasure by adding thrill. And that thrill can come from a degree of risk in terms of getting caught by other people. So I read an article from Elite Daily that is linked in the show notes that I just thought this one quote was, well, a lot of it was interesting, but this quote especially I thought was very interesting. Scientifically speaking, there is no one conclusive reason as to why any of us do the things we do sexually. So thinking about like your motivation of, well, I really like some light choking. Like there's not really a reason for that. Just different people respond to different things.
Right.
And sometimes
Everybody's like sensitivities are different.
Yeah.
yes. Well, and you can have different responses to different actions at different parts of your life, right? Like you
Right.
could be very intimidated by something, in your 20s, and then in your 40s, it's your favorite thing ever, or vice versa. Like everybody goes through
Well,
changes.
everybody evolves and has different experiences too. And
Right.
I think a lot of it comes from whatever your experience is. That's why we have trigger warnings, right?
Right.
Because
Right.
certain things will trigger other people negatively and other things will trigger them positively.
I'm going to go ahead and say, too, the current Bookstagram community desensitizes
Yes.
something.
It definitely
Maybe
Not
does.
necessarily in a bad way, though.
Right.
Like, I think
Yeah.
it really opens our eyes to a lot of things.
Yeah,
Right.
that's definitely true. So when it comes to public sex specifically, this sex and relationship therapist that they interviewed for this article in Elite Daily, she said the exhibitionist streak can be in all kinds of people, from introverted to super powerful extroverts. There does not appear to be a direct cause and effect relationship between what people like to do sexually and how they experience their day-to-day personalities. So it doesn't matter what kind of personality style you have. All kinds of people can like all kinds of different things, right? Even if it doesn't necessarily fit their personality or what you think.
What you would think that they would enjoy.
What you would think fits their personality. So the big motivator that all of us have, biologically speaking, is what you talked about, Mindy, actually, dopamine. So dopamine is the reward chemical in the brain. And dopamine is made when you do something pleasurable and enjoyable, which hopefully for all of us, sex falls into that category. Hopefully it's enjoyable and pleasurable,
If not, masturbate or find someone new.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. So dopamine is also connected to learning and addiction because of its reward function. So you do an action, your brain floods with dopamine, and that feeling is pleasurable. So you want to do that action again. So you're learning the cause and effect relationship between whatever the action is and the pleasure that you experienced afterward. And that connection can actually lead to addiction because the dopamine reward in and of itself is motivating. You want to feel that pleasure again. Right? Which is what leads some people to addictions with certain activities and substances and all that stuff because you're constantly searching for that dopamine hit.
You're
right?
chasing the high.
Exactly. Yeah. So when you do something that enhances your sexual experience, like adding an element of spontaneity in an elevator or an element of risk on the top floor of the library, and that activity is successful in terms of having an orgasm and not getting caught or getting in trouble, then and also not getting embarrassed, you're going to have a different dopamine hit than your usual like Wednesday night orgasm at your house, right? Like it's a different experience. So the dopamine experience is different, and that's a different type of pleasure or a different intensity of pleasure, which makes a lot of people say, I would like that again, please. I want to go to there, right? So that added risk, the entire experience of that added risk is more enjoyable and makes you want to do it again for the dopamine hit. And a kink is born, guys. That's how it happens. Isn't that beautiful? So the most interesting thing that I saw looking up this psychology of public sex is that your brain, in the midst of that dopamine hit during an orgasm, your brain looks on scans almost exactly the same as a brain during heroin use.
Damn.
Really?
Isn't that interesting? Almost exactly the same. So one neuroscientist in this article said that there's only a 5% difference between our brain's observable reaction to sex and to heroin.
Damn.
That's it. 95% the same.
If you have a partner you can trust, I'm going to say sex is the safer way to go.
Yes, 100%. So thinking about the voyeur kink or exhibitionist kink, public orgasm kink in terms of a hit of heroin, thinking about it in that way makes a lot of sense and gives a lot more context as to why people would want to participate in something like that. To somebody like me who was like, there's no way in hell that I would ever do that, right? Like it makes a lot of sense.
You're also the least likely out of the three of us to do heroin.
That's also true. Yeah. So, however, this article had a big reminder of what I said at the beginning of this deep dive, right? We do not live in a society where we can all just like start boning whenever we feel like it, wherever we are. So, the article talked about public indecency laws, just like I did at the top, and then went even further to point out that when you are in public, it is not just about you and your consensual kinks with your partner. There are a lot of other people in the public space who have not consented to being part of your sex life. Right. So that's a very important thing to keep in mind when you are in public. The article talked about like swinger groups basically, and how like it is possible to have a group of people that are watching you have sex in public, which would be more voyeur than necessarily exhibitionist. But they were talking about like in that kind of setting, everybody knows what they've signed up for. Everybody is consenting to being a part of your sexual experience. But if you're like at a club or at a bar or whatever, like those people did not sign up for that, and that their needs need to be taken into consideration. There is a level of respect
that you need to have
for other people. Right. Yeah, exactly. And especially, you know, this moment in 2024 that we've been having about consent. I thought that was a really good point.
And I mean, here's the thing. If your thing is going to a bar and having sex publicly, there are places you can
do that.
Consensually do that. The other people that are there have consented.
Have signed up for that.
Right.
Yes. So they're aware of it.
If that is something that you like, then great. But there are places you can do that.
Right. Yeah, I really appreciated that they added that in this article because I thought that was a really good point.
I honestly never thought about it that way.
I hadn't really either. I just thought about it in terms of like, I don't want that personally, but I didn't think about it in terms of like, I have not consented to that.
What's
you know what I mean?
Interesting. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way either. And that has actually happened to me where there was a swinger group at a hotel where I was staying, and it was for a field hockey. It was me and Molly and another mom, two other moms and their daughters, and we're trying to go swimming. And this swinger group is like motorboating each other and like all this stuff.
It's like you're not in an adults only spa or whatever.
Yeah, we're like, there are other, but they were like getting off on it, which was gross. So we actually called somebody on them and they made a move. But
I mean, there were kids in the room.
See, that's exactly
like
that's exactly what this is talking about.
You've got to be aware of that,
right? Like you all did not sign up to be a part of that group, right?
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that swinger group, but
I mean,
either wait until there's no one else there,
right,
or go up to your room. Shit. Yeah. I mean, there's plenty of places you can do that, you know, where there's not like a 12-year-old.
Book the ballroom. Right? Like there can be, you know, a more private yet also still public place that other people that aren't just randomly there that didn't, you know, consent to all of that are also going to be there. So as the Elite Daily article ends, they said, just be safe, keep it cute, and don't actually get caught. Which I really appreciated. So I thought that was really interesting. You know, heroin, sex, tomato. But the public sex itself was actually not my favorite spicy scene. I narrowed it down to one quote from Lachlan when he bursts into the bathroom and finds Lark when she's so upset, thinking that he just like straight up left her. He says, "I was pacing in the dressing room, Duchess. I was waiting for you so I could give you the keys to drive us home and then fuck you till you can't walk tomorrow." Lachlan.
Well, okay.
Say it again.
Where are the keys?
Tell me more.
Right. I read that and was like, oh my.
Robbie, wake up. Wake up.
Oh, man. So, chapter MVP. Who did you guys
I'm
pick?
just going to go with what you were, well, not what you were just saying, but my chapter MVP is the remote control vibrator. Okay. How many speeds does that thing have?
Apparently 27.
He's
My
like,
gosh.
up.
But I had to go. So I read really fast. So I had to keep going back and be like, did he just turn it up or turn it down? Like based on her reaction.
Hold up now. Yeah.
So honestly, I almost went back and like did tick marks up. I didn't.
What's just neutral here? Yeah. What's just like a slight vibrator and what's like, you know.
It made me think of, because we started watching Nobody Wants This, and they go to the sex store and are looking for the vibrator, and the guy's like, don't start, work your way up to a level 10. Like, my friend can't do elevators flowers or whatever it was because she's got PTSD about it or something. That's what I thought of reading this scene because I felt like Lachlan started her off on a level 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
But there was a lot of range.
Yes,
there was. I
was.
mean, yes.
Yeah.
That was a high tech.
I mean,
high-tech edging.
Yes.
I would say the remote control vibrator was a main character in this section of the book.
I mean,
Yeah, I would agree.
I would agree with that too. Is that who your chapter MVP was, Mindy?
No, mine was Lachlan. He's just so damn attentive. Like, he's a great gift giver, and that harness he gives her just proves how much he knows her.
That's my favorite secondary character.
Yeah.
The harness?
Yeah.
The gold stars are so her. And then when he's describing all the things he thought about while he was making it, it was just like swoon-worthy. And then he admits that he has to give her a part of himself to earn her trust and forgiveness. And he's just so vulnerable and lovable in that moment. Like, I definitely feel like that was the moment, even though I think Lark was probably already going to do, because she'd already written this song, but I think that was like what gave her the final, okay, I'm supposed to do this, right? That he finally was vulnerable and opened up to her.
And you're a creator too, so leather work, number one, is very difficult.
Yes.
It takes a lot of attention to detail, and you're using specialized tools. So the fact that he specially engraved it for her, he put the gold stars in, which I'm really excited in the next section to find out what the gold stars mean. And he just, every part of it was a detail for her. It wasn't something, he didn't go, and here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with buying flowers, but he didn't just go buy her flowers.
Right.
Like, this was for her.
Yeah. Every single chapter is showing more and more how much thought and effort Lachlan is putting into this relationship.
And how much he pays attention.
Yes. Yeah. 1,000% he pays a lot of attention. Well, Lark was actually my chapter MVP.
Oh, yeah.
For giving Lachlan the green light and the remote control. Is what I said. But her basically forgiving him and giving him that permission to like move forward with the relationship is pushing the whole rest of the story forward. So I thought that was a good thing. Way to go, Lark.
I really swooned in these 3 chapters.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I feel like a lot of readers just see these as like spice chapters, but there's really a lot of sweetness.
There's a lot of
too.
Emotional growth and all that happens.
So your favorite secondary character, Deb, was the harness.
Right. Mostly because of how much he had to put into that. It wasn't just a typical gift.
Yeah.
It is a symbol of them like moving forward together.
Yeah.
The harness would be one of my questions because when I first read this book, the harness, all I could picture was like
a horse harness,
like a LARP, like horse harness.
Oh no. I mean, if you think of it, and he even says this, and I think this is probably why Bryn Weaver wrote it this way. If you think of it more as a corset, right?
Yeah.
I'm picturing it as like it has two suspenders almost.
I had to look it up.
There's a strap that goes under her boobs, probably in like clips in the back, and then probably 2 that go down the side and like clips around her waist.
There's some good fan art on Pinterest because I looked it up. I was trying to find like a good picture of it. I was trying to look on Bryn Weaver's social media and I didn't see anything that she had posted, but there's a good picture. There's a good picture on Pinterest. But yeah, I think I started thinking about it in terms of New Girl once again, the Genslinger episode where she's getting ready to have sex with him.
A lot more
and but that's kind of what I picture, right? And that is closer than the horse harness to what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
But no, my favorite secondary character was actually, I can't remember his actual name, but the guy in the band that Lark is playing with. That makes Xander. Yes, thank you. That Lachlan gets jealous of.
Yeah.
Because it kind of like ups the passion for Lachlan and the spice later on in that section, and I just really like that.
Who's fucking you right now?
Yeah, I liked that a lot. So you said your favorite
mine was
secondary
Sloane,
character? Okay.
actually.
Sloane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for this one specific moment when she finds out that the headmaster's been murdered. She sees it in like a newspaper or a headline or something. And then she basically is texting with Lark telling her that she's proud of her and that she doesn't think less of her and she still loves her, all without actually saying, I know you did this.
Yep.
I love that moment.
It's so interesting because one of the things I'm really looking forward to in a future book is having them sit down and gab about their
talk about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Like in a funny way though.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I envision them getting drunk and being like, yeah, well, I killed this one guy this way. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I did really like how Bryn Weaver did that text from Sloane, though, because it was really Sloane, like, inviting Lark to share with her if she wants to.
Yes.
Right? Like,
and then left the door open.
Yes. Yeah. And not in a like, did you do this?
Right.
Kind of
not
way,
an accusatory way, but a like, I love you.
But congratulations,
yeah.
girl.
Yeah.
You do you, girl.
Yeah. Like, I would love to hear about it if you want to share with me. Yeah, I really liked the way that she did that. What were some of your all's favorite quotes?
I have a funny one and a sweet one. So my funny one is she goes, just one long, she
one of mine too.
There's the Irish charm, and it's Lark talking to Lachlan after she puts on the harness, because she goes, how do I look? And he goes,
Yeah.
And then one thing that really made me swoon, it's in this same type or like same chapter of the book, but he says, I want to make this marriage something you are proud of, no matter what it looks like or how long it's meant to last. I don't want it to be something you regret.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet too.
I mean, if more men said that to a woman in any marriage, your marriage might last longer.
Yeah.
Right. Mindy, what were your favorite quotes?
Well, mine, I also had that's some real Irish charm. Then I also liked when they're at the club and Lachlan asks Lark if she sees anyone whose gaze lingers on her too long, and she responds with "only you."
Mm-hmm.
Loved that little moment.
That was cute.
And then finally, this was the funniest, when she says, Lachlan Kane is an ass man. Good to know.
Yeah. I thought that whole little thing was funny about the
but
butt
I
stuff.
didn't even write this down. The whole thing where like she's like, you want to go to the back door. Do you know where the back door is?
Yeah.
Go to the back
That
door.
was-
Get closer to the back door.
That's when she said that. Yeah. It was
Yeah.
But
so
he had
funny.
she had already caught him listening to like
the butt
Oh,
stuff.
yeah, yeah,
butt stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the
Even though
book.
that probably was just coincidence, but you know.
I have two sweet ones also, and they're both really from Lachlan. So in that same kind of thing that you were talking about, Deb, Lark is trying to kiss him and he pushes her away and he says, not until you forgive me. Otherwise this won't work and I want it to work. And I'm just like, he loves you. Let him love you. And so then they're talking about Fionn. Lachlan says something like, you're a bigger pain in my butt than Fionn is. And Lark says, oh, stop. You love him and his teasing. And Lachlan says, I bite down on my tongue and taste blood. I love that quote because that tells you everything.
He's trying to say,
about,
but I also love you.
Yes,
Yeah.
like it tells you exactly how he's feeling. Again, Bryn Weaver in like the shortest, most concise sentence tells you a million things, right? Her writing is really, she's very, very good at that. And I love it. What questions do you guys have that you would like to see resolved?
I have a couple. What did Lachlan whisper to Xander before before they go in?
Before the concert.
Yeah. I'm curious on that. I always want to know what somebody whispers to somebody else.
Yes.
Like I'm very curious in that respect.
Especially a writer like Bryn Weaver, where you don't do anything by accident, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then, okay, Abe is obviously a creep and almost definitely the creeper that's been watching them and going into the apartments.
Yeah.
But why didn't Lark recognize that he called her at the club? Wait, was it at the club? He calls her Lark Montague.
I noticed that too.
I guess maybe it's because the band introduced her. That just hit me.
That's what I decided, but I thought that was weird at first
Because
too.
she doesn't introduce herself as that.
Yes.
I had to go back and look at the atelier.
I did the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And I
Also, I do wonder if that's a little bit of like trying to undermine her because he knows she's Lark Kane.
right. Yeah.
True.
I did the exact same thing. But he's one of my questions too, that Abe guy. But my question is more like, okay, if he is the Phantom, and I think he is, but the Phantom has already told us that his whole plan is to destroy Lark and Lachlan, but make Lachlan think that he's the one responsible, like that Lachlan is the one responsible. And so if that's the case, why show up in such a red flag creeper way and make yourself a suspicious person?
I don't think he thinks he's creepy.
Well, maybe that's true. But it's why insert yourself if your plan is overall to be like tricky?
The thing
you know what
at
I mean?
the atelier I can get, but like showing up at her that's
show
just
later, it was a step too far, right?
Yeah, for me too. I'm like, that you realize you crossed the creeper line, dude, right? Like,
yeah, but maybe like Deb's saying, he doesn't. He thinks he's totes normal.
Anyone that talks like that can't know that they're not acting normally.
Yeah.
Anybody else when he talks, picture Asmodeus.
Asmodeus, 100%. I will take you down to hell.
I keep picturing that Robert Pattinson movie where he's the Southern preacher. It is exactly that. Was that all of your questions, or did I cut you off? I'm sorry if I did.
That was all my questions.
Okay, good.
I've asked mine throughout the episode. So
the only other question I have is the $50,000 invoice that Lark found at that club.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
is that a red herring? I don't remember. Is it a red herring? If it is a red herring, what's that money for? Who's that money going to? Why do we know about it?
Here's
that was
the thing too that I actually forgot, and I'm just thinking, why did they go to that club? Like, does somebody own that?
It's somebody. It's owned by somebody that's a known like enemy or rival of.
I don't know why I must have missed that part.
I don't remember if
I struggled with that scene a little bit too.
Yeah, I'm like, why are they there?
I don't remember if it's a muffin rival or if it's a Kovaci rival, but it's owned by somebody that they're suspicious of.
I want to have a muffin rival.
I know, right?
I'm picturing more West Side Story.
When you're a jet all the way. That's for our younger listeners too. What are you guys looking forward to?
So in the next section, I know we learn what each gold star on her harness means. Mm-hmm. And I'm really looking forward to talking about that.
Yeah. What are you looking forward to, Mindy?
Lachlan's dick. What? He has me dickmatized.
I said in my notes, penetration, baby. Oh man, is there anything? Yeah, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about
for our younger listeners
with this section? I think
I'm good.
All right, well, guys, next week we're talking about Leather and Lark, chapters 20 through 22.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.